see they're coming, Grieve. When will you all learn?
Grieve.
Oh, dear. You better go and fetch Sergeant Edwards. Tell him to get this man to see the M.O.
The Colonel cannot strike another soldier. It is not permitted.
Yes, I did not strike him. I merely administered a reprimand. Fetch the Sergeant!
Yes, sir. But the Colonel has made a big mistake.
Yes, I did. And that was letting this wretched Scot stay on the course.
Excuse me, sir. But the Colonel is making a big mistake.
What's going on? Did that little Pole do this?
Certainly not. I did. I found him setting about Warsaw.
No, it's not true. It was only a practice fight. I was showing Grief how to make the throw that takes it to the ground. We are good friends.
Isn't that what our American cousins call a boo-boo, Colonel?
I thought I ordered you to fetch Sergeant Edwards. Oh, dear. And I was going to persuade you to kick him out.
Well, perhaps I should kick him out.
Certainly not. You train him to be rough. No right to penalise him for my stupidity.
I didn't mean for that. I'd kick him out because he let you do it.
Sergeant, this man has been knocked out. Will you convey him to his quarters with as little stir as you can manage?
Sir. Stand aside, sir, please. Come on, sir. There's a good officer.
Warsaw, couldn't you have intervened and saved the Colonel some embarrassment?
There was no time. The Colonel has a very quick reflex.
My fault entirely, I'm afraid. But he should not have appeared to be belligerent.
All right, Warsaw, back to work. And we'll keep this little incident to ourselves, shall we?
I mean, it's all right and all that, but... Can you see me walking into an officers' club in the West End of London, eh? Come off it. Now, an NCO is one thing, mate. But an officer? That's a different kettle of fish.
I enjoy being an officer.
Yeah, well, as long as it keeps us all together, eh? Oh, Charlie boy here, he's a captain like you. That's what brains does for you. Oi, still alive?
Yes, look at those. You'll enjoy them. Lots of blood and decapitations, real good stuff. Then again, maybe not you, Warsaw. Some of them are Polish. Oh, don't forget the briefing in 5 minutes, will you? We need to know who we're being paid to kill.
Don't take any notice of him, eh?
You're quite sure about that?
Quite sure, sir. The MO says he'll be fine.
Good. Well, you better confine him to quarters for an hour or two. Thank you, that'll be all.
Sir.
Damn.
Morning, everybody. Sit down, please. So, today's the day you all find out what you've been training for.
Go on, Major.
So, before I commence the briefing, there's something I have to say. You have all completed the course in record time. You're all now about to hold the King's Commission or warrant as officers in the British Armed Forces. This is the moment when you have to make your decision. I can't force you to remain. You all volunteered for special duties. Those duties are now about to begin in earnest. If anyone wants to drop out, it must be now. Is that properly understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. Sir. You may now smoke. Thank you, Sergeant. That's all until we break. Now, I assume it's understood that this is top secret. No word must be exchanged with anyone outside this room. I propose to generalize to start with, then. Then we'll take a break, and I shall go through the whole operation in detail. Detail that you will memorize totally.
Grieve isn't here yet, Major. Would you like one of us to go and look for him?
No, Grieve will be joining us later. A German underground storage dump, northern France. The Germans have developed a rocket-propelled projectile known as the FZG-76. Each rocket is fitted with an explosive warhead more powerful than anything that we have encountered to date. This dump is where those rockets are assembled and stored. They're about to be launched against this country in enormous numbers, and it is our job to stop that happening. Right, now you see from the model that the complex is surrounded by a perimeter fence and the usual minefield precautions. The fence is patrolled at 15-minute intervals. It is also electrified. One touch of this fence, and warning bells ring throughout the complex.
How do we get in there?
We get in through the main gate. At least most of us do. We'll be delivered to the complex as workers from the organization Tote. We'll be expected. We'll have papers. We'll be thoroughly searched.
Aren't we taking in explosives and weapons?
Yes.
How?
Warsaw will take them in for us. Over the minefield and the fence. On a tightrope. Now, there's very little of the actual installation to be seen above the ground. The main gate with guardhouse. Observation towers with machine gun emplacements. This is the bunkhouse for the workforce. They're largely Tote workers, mostly imported from Eastern Europe.
Where do the guards have their quarters?
Underground.
Vehicle transport remains on the surface, or is there an entrance here we can't see?
No. Vehicles unload and load with their completed assembly here. The only access to the underground complex is by a ramp inside. Now, first things first. We make the drop the day after tomorrow, June the 5th. Ferdy and Chardonneret will go on ahead to liaise with de Grouchy. A Lysander will fly you both out tomorrow night. You both know de Grouchy, so there should be no problem. The rest of us will make the drop the day after tomorrow. We will all hide up with de Grouchy's people until it's time for him to drive us to the complex. As I've already said, we'll be expected, and all our documents will be verifiable. Now, we drop off Chardonneret and Warsaw before we reach the main gate. You will make your own way to the crossing point, which is here. I'll brief you both separately on your part of the operation.
What happens once we're inside?
Well, you open a few doors and a safe. Hibou will select the papers and specifications that we've come for. The rest of us lay charges ready to blow the place up, and then we leave.
How? How do we leave?
Let's take a break now and get used to the idea.
Please, sit down. Well, I'm sorry to drag you away from your colleagues during your break, but you do smoke, don't you?
Yes.
I rather wanted a little chat. How's it all going? Nobody wishing he'd never volunteered?
No.
I wondered if you had any observations to make on the final selection.
Thank you. Anyone in particular, sir?
No, no one in particular.
I don't think you're being honest with me, Colonel. I think perhaps it's me you want to talk about.
Yes, Mel. Monsieur Lombois. He is a Frenchman and a patriot I like and admire.
As I do.
Indeed. But I hope you recognize the danger that he is in. If he is captured, he is much more likely than anyone else to be killed. And I do hope you recognize that possibility.
Yes, I do. Is that why I'm not actually going?
It must have influenced Major Gallagher's decision. It is a factor, Merle. It's one that no responsible commander could ignore.
No, I understand that. Well, thank you for your concern, sir.
Are you all right, Grief?
Yes, I'm fine. I'm fine, I think you were, sir.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'll see you in a minute.
The Colonel hopes you're feeling better, sir, and suggests that a liberal dose of this elixir might expedite your recovery.
Aye, slange.
And will you see him as soon as possible, then?
Aye.
Will you be taking coffee, Mr. Hibou, sir?
There's no need to stand to attention, Cameron.
Sir.
I'm sorry it was necessary to exercise my authority in that fashion. You probably have a case if you wish to proceed with it.
There's no need, sir. The Colonel slipped. An apology is not required, sir.
I had no intention of apologizing. It was a simple misunderstanding. I thought you were about to attack an already stricken comrade unnecessarily.
Yes, sir.
Now, you must admit you are inclined towards belligerence.
Yes, sir. And so will the Colonel be withdrawing me from the assault team?
I haven't sweated my life's blood to have you thrown on the scrap heap, Grieve. I suggest you join your colleagues and catch up on the briefing.
Yes, sir.
Blimey. It's like a bleeding wake in here.
I think we've suddenly realized this is for real. Not just a vague operation sometime in the future. Here it is, and it doesn't look all that easy.
Well, it don't pay to get upset before a job, does it? You've got to take it in your stride. I always do. And I've got short legs. Hey, Squire, what'd you say then? Oh, Hey. What happened to you then?
I walked into a door.
What?
Squires, Colonel William putting through. Hello, sir. Scrambling. Did they? He'll be delighted. Did the RAF quibble at all? Come. Did they? Yes, sir, I'll tell him. You're right, you are, sir. Well, thank you. Bye.
I brought you your coffee, sir.
Thank you, Miff.
And, Mr. Hibou is asking to see you, sir.
What now?
Yes, Colonel. Now.
Then you had better come in. Thank you, Miff.
Sir.
Right, out with it.
I want to stand down.
You were given ample opportunity to stand down first thing this morning. Why didn't you?
Simple embarrassment, I'm afraid. I couldn't speak up in front of the others in case they thought I was scared.
And are you?
No. No, Colonel, you can save your white feather for someone else. I've simply gone as far as I'm prepared to go. I'm sorry, but that's it, sir.
Haven't you left this rather late, Mr. Lovell? I am not disputing your right to walk away from us, but I cannot pretend that I am madly keen on your sense of timing. You are what this thing is all about, man. The demolition is secondary, and you know that better than anyone.
I've said I'm sorry. It doesn't change anything.
I think we should sit down and discuss this here and now.
There's nothing to discuss.
Sit down!
Ah, good of you to turn up, Reed.
Sir,
Feeling all right now?
I'm a bit better now, thank you, sir.
Good. Well, sit down and join the fun.
Sir.
Right, let's pick it up from where we left off. Where's he? Sergeant! You tell Mr. Hibou to get a move on, please. As you were, Sergeant. Thank you, Hibou. Right. Now, what makes this target rather complicated is the presence of a high-perimeter fence inside a substantial minefield. A fence that is topped with electrified alarm wires. One touch of this fence and 200 Germans point their guns in our direction. We can't risk it. So we let Warsaw walk high above the minefield and the fence, carrying the explosives. Meanwhile, we make our way from the workers' huts and link up on the inside. Now, Chardonneret, pay particular attention to these timings. Warsaw, you will be in position by the minefield at 0:13 hours. The German guard will pass the chosen crossing point at 0:16 hours. From that moment, you will have 14 minutes and not a second more to complete the crossing. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
Sir, how is Warsaw going to rig his wire across the minefield in the perimeter fence?
With this, which has been specially designed for the job.
I've seen that reminder was before.
Right.
Sir, what happens if the wire touches this electric fence?
Well, if we stick to exact timing, it shouldn't matter. I've asked the RAF to lay on an intruder raid. timed to coincide with us. At 0:18 hours, the air raid warning should sound. For 1 minute precisely, from the first note of that siren, the fence is without electricity, while the switchgear moves from the main supply to the complex's own generator. Now, the wire must be in position and taut by the end of that time. Warsaw will then go across. You should have made it by 0:21. Warsaw will then stay with us as part of the demolition team, while Chardonneret returns to the farm and sends her first signal to say that we are now inside the complex.
What happens to the wire once I'm across, Major?
We leave it where it is.
But what if it's discovered?
Well, by that time, we're inside the complex and in disguise. However, if the alarm is raised, De Gruchy and his men will set up a diversionary attack to make Jerry think that the raid has not yet taken place. And he will then concentrate on repelling that attack. Well, that's the theory, anyway.
And what are the rest of us doing at this time, Major?
We will have arrived at the main gate before Warsaw reaches his position. We will be searched, we will be issued with overalls, and told to wait until the workers change shift at 0:30 hours. We will then take the opportunity permitted by the air raid to break out, make our way round the perimeter walk, and rendezvous with Warsaw.
When does my bit come in? Or is it just for the ride?
It's not for the ride, I assure you, Shuka. Here, there is an old air shaft leading down into the underground complex. That is our way in. Now, it may need opening, it may not. We don't know.
You mean I'm insurance?
Well, in this instance, possibly. Your job becomes positive and essential once we're inside. Now, we devised this from plans of the complex that we pinched from the town hall in Senlis. That and information supplied by a Frenchman who extended the place for Jerry. So, we enter the complex down this air shaft here. In this corridor here are the offices of the technical staff, the researchers and engineers. Inside one of them, there is a safe. Lieke Mark 207D, built around 1936. Now, that's down to you, Shuka. You open it. Hibou will then go through the papers inside, and he'll decide what he needs to bring away with him. In the long run, those papers are more important than blowing the place up.
Hugh.
Sir.
Would you mind?
Sir, excuse me a moment, will you? Stay inside, Sergeant. Sir. Sir.
Sorry to drag you out. Two things. One, Colonel Gwilym has fixed your intruder raid. The RAF have agreed. It's on.
Good.
Two, Hibou has just been to see me. This happened, I'm afraid. He's opted out.
Any reason given?
Conscience, basic philosophy, doesn't approve of killing, you know, the sort of thing. Exactly what we anticipated.
God, he picks his bloody time, doesn't he?
Yeah. Well, I sent him back into the briefing. I couldn't think what else to do with him. If he'd stayed in my office for a second longer, I would cheerfully have killed him.
So we have to find someone else.
I already booked a call to Professor Evans. I'll let you know when he comes through.
Right, sir. Stay there, Sergeant. Listen to me, everybody. Something has come up. It may take a little time to sort it out. We'll continue the briefing later. Merlin, Chardonneret, I want you to liaise with the signals officer about your signals briefing. Sure. Sergeant, will you make sure they're all issued with their civilian clothing for the operation? Sir. Wear them from now on. Get used to them. Hibou, can I see you in the Colonel's office in 10 minutes, please? That's all. Thank you.
Are you ready, ladies and gentlemen?
So, why don't we threaten him with a court-martial?
Would that make him change his mind? I doubt it. Squires? Oh, good. Put him through. Professor Evans. Apparently he's in Glasgow, of all places. Professor, Colonel Squires. Yes, sir, let me hand you to Major Gallagher.
Thank you, sir. Hello, sir. Yes, Professor, I understand. Professor, we have a problem. Stephen Lovell has decided not to stay with us. Yes, I'm afraid so. The point is, sir, is there anyone else who can take his place? I see. Oh, perhaps you could come and talk to him yourself, sir. Right. Thank you, Professor. So we'll see you then.
What does he suggest? Anyone else?
Not of an age to be considered possible. But he's coming to talk to Lovell himself. He's going to catch the overnight train, so he can't be here till the morning.
Come. You wanted to see me, I think?
Yes, I did. I assume that what Colonel Squires tells me is true.
Yes.
You've decided to drop out.
Exactly that.
What the hell are you playing at?
I'm not playing, Major. I've made up my mind.
Oh, have you?
Yes, it's not a sudden impulse. I've been thinking about it for weeks now, turning it over and over in my mind. You see, if it came to it, I couldn't kill anyone. It makes me rather a liability to the team, doesn't it?
We'll be the judge of that.
I'm not arguing about your principles, Lovell, but you've left it till the 11th hour.
Yes, I'm sorry about that. Really, I am. I should have spoken out weeks ago, but I felt such a hypocrite. After all the weapons I've designed and built, how could I condemn violence? But when Sergeant Major Gidney put that knife in my hands, I suddenly realized what it was all about, and I can't do it. Or rather, I won't do it.
So I can't make you change your mind?
No.
Well, sleep on it, will you? It may look different in the morning.
I don't think so, Major.
That's all.
I don't think we're going to budge him, do you?
No.
No. Well, now it's up to Professor Evans. Let's hope the Welsh wizard brings his wand.
Then. That is skill. You got to admit it.
Right, you're off. I hope your professional skills are up to that standard. I don't really like the thought of being locked inside a German compound.
Hey, leave it all to sugar, sweetheart. I'll even get through them pearly gates when me time comes. Don't you worry.
Yep.
Let's take a bit of getting used to, though. Doing a job that's legal, if you know what I mean.
You didn't like any of this at first, did you? You went around with such a long face and a huge chip on your shoulder.
Didn't know you lot, did I? I got me out of porridge, but I didn't fit in, did I? Not really. That's all right now, though. It's all been a bit of a giggle. All that parlez-vous stuff. Not my usual caper, I don't mind telling you.
It isn't anybody's usual caper, but you've quite enjoyed it, haven't you? Come on, admit it. I know you have. I've been watching you.
Yeah, and I've been watching you. That should be 257, sweetheart, not 260. You can't trust no one these days.
Right. Anybody fancy a drink?
No. Corporal Moffat.
Sir.
Another round for my commission colleagues, if you please, and stick 'em on my mess bill. There's a good lad.
Just as you wish, Sergeant.
Oi, Paderewski. How about a drink, then? Stick your feet up for half hour, eh?
It is necessary to practice, always practice. If I do not, it's no good. It's kaput.
Is that what we ought to be doing?
Now, look at it this way. If you can't do it right by now, another 10 minutes ain't going to make much difference, is it? Besides, it's my throw. And I'm winning.
Your gin and lime, Mum.
Oh, thank you, miss.
And if that's everything, I wouldn't mind shutting up shop now, ma'am.
Of course. Good night.
Good night, ma'am. Night, sir. Night, ma'am.
Good night.
Bit quiet tonight, Les? It is that, Sarge. Some of them are off tomorrow. You can always tell. Good night, Les. Good night, Sarge.
will come back to England straight away, won't you? I mean, you're not...
Of course. I have everything to come back to. Merle.
You can't go on calling me Merle. Blackbird, it's ridiculous. We're going to be married.
I suppose it is rather. I'm glad you're not going to France.
Oh.
I know. But it's best, truly. They're right in not wanting people who are tied to each other. Their priorities conflict.
Aren't you in bed? Can't you sleep?
I can't offer you a drink. I'm afraid the bar's closed.
I don't want a drink, thanks. Don't you have enough to worry about?
It helps me to relax. And besides, I can cheat without making other people angry. Please sit down. You look tired. Why aren't you asleep? I know you carry the burden of this for all of us, but you're too eaten up with this operation. Should I keep quiet?
Oh, don't be so silly. We know each other better than that.
I hope we do.
Red 9 on the black 10. Come on, concentrate.
You're going to have to take care, wee man. A mess bill has a nasty habit of mounting up. I never let my wife put anything on the slates down at the shop. When we have no money, we go without soap. I'm warning you. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. No, I'm not all right. I'm scared bloody stiff, if you want to know.
Everybody feels like that before he goes on a mission. It'll pass off once we get started.
Yeah, I suppose. It's not like getting the sweats because the roses is banging up the stairs. Oh, that's bad enough, I can tell you. No, mate, this is different. Them roses is noses. They don't play about, do they?
Well, I'll be there to hold them off. Besides, you can run faster than any of us when you really have to.
I'm scared for myself. I won't pretend I'm not. But it's more than that. I got Massange killed, didn't I? And I don't speak the lingo any better now than I did then.
Well, it's the same for all of us. Fergie says that I speak French with a Scots accent. I don't even speak English with a Scots accent. Anyway, what ruddy kraut is going to know the difference between mine and a local French accent? And as for you, you just don't say anything.
I'll never have anything to say that's worthwhile anyway.
That's true.
Oh, I tell you what. Right now, I wouldn't mind being back in my little cell. Bucket and all.
Who said sparrows can't sing?
What's wrong, Hugh? Is there a problem with Hibou?
Look, the 2 can go up on the line. This bunch over here, turn up. 4 on the 5. 3 on the 4. God, you're hopeless at this game.
Perhaps I should call this a day.
So, you're off tomorrow. Frightened?
I won't change my mind, Professor, not even for you.
Of course not, of course not. I really wanted to ask you some questions. You left a few things with the ends looser than we like, you know. Now, do you remember the missile you dealt with last year in Cyprus?
Yeah?
Well, have a look at this, my boy. Some of our agents in Czechoslovakia managed to purloin a set of detailed plans, and it's a development of the one that you put together. It's called the Enzian and has radio guidance and is being developed by Messerschmitt. Now, come here. Just... Do you see this? behind the hydrogen peroxide tank and the warhead. That's a very neat piece of linkage to operate the ailerons. And what we need is your mind to consider how best to make it inoperative.
Can I get you anything, sir?
No, thank you, Miff.
How's it going?
God knows. It may be up to you to pull the chestnuts out of the fire, you know.
Shall I tell you something? In the dim, distant past, when I sat my school cert, I failed in physics, and I only just scraped through in maths.
Yes, well, I refuse to believe you haven't learned something since then.
Oh, indeed. I've learned how to kill people.
It's totally dependent on the liquid fuel sustainer motor in flight. It also depends on the radar homing head to guide it to its target. Now, once we know the signal that operates the homing device, we can deflect it. Just be thankful they chucked out Volmer's infrared system. That wouldn't have been so easy.
You can't back out now, Stephen. There's too much at stake.
No one said anything about expecting me to use weapons and kill people. I won't do it.
You mean you don't mind someone else doing the killing for you?
I thought you would understand. It's a question of belief and principle.
Is it?
Yes.
Well, I'm a simple man and I like things basic. They say it's a Welsh characteristic. But as far as I'm concerned, the Greeks had it right. You live in a community, you have a say in the running of the community, and you benefit from it. You stand up and defend it when it's in trouble. Simple.
Except it isn't that simple. Not anymore. Look, I've killed probably thousands of people with a pencil and a slide rule. People I've never seen or even heard of. But someone sometime has to stand up and say, enough's enough, and that person at the moment is me.
That was done by 1,000-pounders, like the missile I showed you. And what we're after could be 5 to 10 times that size. You know the range. You know the effective area of the explosive charge. You can calculate the loss of life. And now that they've got it right, they can mass produce in quantity. Work it out for yourself. Now, if this mission's successful, we'll be saving lives, not destroying them.
Yes.
Look, the war's not won yet, you know. We might manage a second front. It's not a foregone conclusion. Hitler's nobody's fool. Why do you think they're developing these V weapons, Last-ditch defiance? Rubbish. He expects to win with them, and by God, given time, he probably would. Never underestimate the German war machine.
They won't win with a few rockets.
Few? They can make this F-Jet G-76 cheap enough and plentiful enough to send them over at the rate of 1,000 a day. Do you understand what that really means? 1,000 rocket bombs each day.
All right. Professor, when you were teaching us, did you really imagine what you were training us for?
I didn't imagine it at all, lad. I knew.
And pacifists and objectors?
Invalids, even. They're after a free ride to which they're not entitled.
Without exception.
Without exception. Goodbye, my boy. Well, there's still a problem. He's strong-minded and won't give up his principles lightly. We may have lost...
Miff, would you organize some coffee for the professor, please?
Right away. No, we may have lost him. I suggest that you follow it up yourself and rub some salt into the wound that I've opened. Where's Gallagher?
Checking the preparations for his advance party, giving them their final briefing.
Well, he may need some briefing himself.
Will you be able to do that?
No, I have to go to the War Office. Surely Lovell can do that much.
Yes, I suppose so. Gallagher has all he can cope with.
This is vital, Colonel. Vital.
May I come in? His bed seems softer than they need be. I must remember to talk to the quartermaster. I have come to ask if you will be good enough to brief Major Gallagher on what he has to look for when he gets inside the German emplacement.
If he gets in.
Oh, Gallagher will get in. I have no doubts on that score. Where I have doubts is in his knowing what to select when he does get in. He has to be able to recognize the correct specifications when he sees them. Now, can you teach him?
If Major Gallagher can lay claim to something like a first-class honours degree in applied science and the same in applied maths and give me 8 years of his life to absorb by experiment and experience, he might just be able to recognise the gold from the dross. Don't be bloody stupid, sir.
Exactly. I cannot force you to go. And I'm not going to get down on my knees and make begging noises, but I do ask you to examine what is involved both directly and indirectly and weigh that against your scruples. The main object of this mission is to get those plans. And if we fail, the consequences will be entirely on your head.
Well, that's not fair.
Well, of course it isn't fair. What about life is fair? For God's sake, man, you're not a child. You accept death as part of life? As a scientist, it isn't possible to do otherwise, surely. You eliminate bacteria because they are dangerous. Germans are dangerous. Or is your aversion to killing applicable merely to creatures over a certain size? Surely you haven't the effrontery to confine it to your own species.
Please, leave me alone. I won't be talked out of my decision.
As you wish. I wish you luck. Goodbye. Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Carry on, Major.
Yep. Sure you've got everything?
I think so.
Mel will be on duty for the WT skids. Rely upon de Grouchy. Take his advice. Be very careful. Look after her, Ferdy.
Yes, sir, I will. Thank you.
Ferdy?
If you'll, excuse me a moment.
Take care.
Be careful. I know you hate them, but be discreet. They will cope, won't they?
Of course.
I nearly asked Ferdy to send us a postcard.
And I'm afraid Professor Evans is sending a lot more papers for you to look at. So you better stay here. I'll see you're not disturbed. You're going to need to concentrate.
Do you think JIC would sanction half the job?
They might. I doubt if Gwilym would wish to be answerable to the PM in that event.
No. So, I suppose I'd better get my head down.
What time is it, Chico?
I don't know, mate. Let me watch the 30. French, you see. Bit like the old stir, this. Sitting about on your bunk waiting for something to happen.
I said you were to rest.
Can't do it, mate. Bit edgy, you know. Hope that frog looks after that watch. Come out of a job in Norfolk, that did. Lovely timepiece. Shame to deprive someone, really.
Chico? Why are you doing this? You could have been safe and sound and wherever it was you were. Why?
It got me out, mate. And if you've never been inside, you won't appreciate what that means, believe me. It was my war as much as the next man's. I didn't like Hitler either. But they wouldn't let me share, wouldn't let me join in, know what I mean? It's time I did me bit. Got into the old war. Because I never really belonged anywhere, you know? Not really. And this little lot came along and suddenly I was part of something. But like a family. I don't know about you, Cock, but I like it here. It's a nice class of people. There's something to do that really needs doing. I tell you what, if we don't win, we're all in the stuck. We might as well just lock each other up and swallow the keys.
Oh, my God, is it morning?
Yes, not a very good one, I'm afraid. How's it going? Made head or tail of it?
Not a lot. Well, it's not exactly sixth form stuff, is it? Most of the time, I simply don't know what it is I'm looking at.
Yes, I thought as much.
All I can do is grab as much paperwork as I can and hope some of it's relevant. Tim, this aspect of the operation is a non-starter.
Come.
I've decided my place is with the team. I'm sorry I've messed you about.
Are you quite sure?
Yes, sir, I am sure.
Lovell, when you were wished on me, I said you were going to be a pain in the backside, and that's what you bloody well are. You and your blasted conscience have totally wasted a valuable 24 hours for me. I couldn't make head and tails of this stuff.
You don't mean you've been trying to learn or...
Get out! Thank God for that.
No, leave all that. I'll see to it. I suggest you get your head down for a couple of hours.
Right.
Before you go, I don't pretend to enjoy departing from the approved manual, but your imaginative innovations might just work. Give it all you've got.
Right. You coming to the airfield?
God, no. I never used to kiss my nephews and nieces goodbye. I don't see why I should change the habits of a lifetime.
I'll say one thing, sir.
Thought you might like a dram before you...
Don't forget, the Fourth Arm returns to UK Gold next Monday night at 12:05.